Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sara Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for the 100th episode of Saturday with Sara. Thank you so much for helping us reach this milestone. And this week, I'm really pleased to share the Grow with Love theme with you. I think it's pretty fitting for us this week. These papers and embellishments are from our friends at Paper Rose. And then today we also have some really adorable gnome stickers from Paper Wishes, as well as gorgeous classic metallic gold cardstock. So let's take a closer look at what we'll be working with today. And we can start with our paper pack. So this is a 6x6 paper collection. And as I flip through, you can see how beautifully these designs will coordinate with each other. Really beautiful for matting and layering. As you can see, a nice soft color palette in here, very, very easy to work with, and just really beautiful all over designs. Now with two of the sheets here, I want to point out this can be used as an entire background, or of course you could snip this apart to use the various elements separately. And the same goes for this sheet right here. So you could have this be your whole background if you wanted, but of course you can snip out the various words and phrases in here, either singly or as borders. So there's a lot of different possibilities with our paper pack. So 18 double-sided pattern sheets, 3 each of 12 different designs. Then to go along, we have a pack containing 4 sheets of pop-out die cuts, which are lightly embossed. So let's have a look here. This is the first 2 sets of sheets in the collection. As you can see, again, totally coordinated, really easy to mix and match together and with the paper pack. You've got beautiful blossoms, tags, labels, and then on our other 2 sheets, you can see you've got some additional words and floral elements. Now, if you could touch this, you would notice that there is a raised embossing to it. It's clear, so it just gives a really nice subtle shine in there. So that is our embossed die cut set. And then to celebrate today, we're also including a pack of gold metallic cardstock. And this pack contains 3 8.5 by 11 sheets. These are perfect for matting and for die cutting. And then finally, the most adorable set of Gnome Dazzle stickers with really sweet images and sentiments on here. So as you can see, we have a really fun collection to celebrate with today. And thank you so much for tuning in to hang out with me. It is my absolute pleasure to be crafting along with you. I'm really glad you're here today, and I'm excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Let's start out with a bright and cheerful birthday greeting card. I've built the background with 2 designs from the paper pack. So I've got this really fun star design, which makes me think of a quilt, and then this coordinating yellow sort of faux texture paper, which is actually on the reverse side of that star design. So I've trimmed down 2 of those pieces and then matted both of them onto this gold metallic cardstock. I added a strip, a very narrow strip of black glitter cardstock. We'll talk a little bit more about this later, but that's just going across the center seam between those 2 designs. And I think it makes a really nice contrast to the 2 papers, as well as keeping those 2 designs visually separated. My card focal is a birthday gift package, which is also die cut from that gold cardstock. And I'm using the Happy Birthday die set from Hot Off the Press. There's that large gift package you can see there. Of course, there are also other elements on here too. So we've got some smaller gift packages, a bow, we've got a cake, 3 balloon shapes. We've got some balloon ties down here, as well as the Happy Birthday sentiment, which I've also used. And this is a really fantastic set to have on hand when you are creating lots of birthday cards like I do. If you have a big family like mine, you're always making birthday cards, and that will come in really handy. So let me show you this gift package here. And I've die cut it again from the gold metallic cardstock. You can see you're not only getting the outside edge on there, you're also getting this embossing on here as well, which shows up really nicely, especially with the metallic gold cardstock. Another option, if you wanted to go for maybe a vintage or a distressed look, you could take a sanding tool and sand off very lightly, and you would still get that beautiful embossing, but you'd have a bit of a distressed effect there too. So another idea for you. And what's also nice about the gift package is that you've got a slit that is cut into the bottom portion, which means that you can tuck another element inside, which is also really fun and creates a nice interactive effect. So here I've got tucked partially inside is a butterfly embossed die cut, and then I have another smaller butterfly overlapping. I foam taped the package to the card front so I have some dimension, and this butterfly is attached with another layer of foam tape, so I've got some fun layers on here. Behind I have 2 balloon die cuts made with a scrap of the yellow cardstock plus some red cardstock, and I'm using the Luscious Lace cardstock pack for this as well as for other projects in today's webisode, because it has this beautiful array of bright, cheerful colors which just go perfectly with today's theme. And then I've got some black glitter balloon strings on there. At the bottom is the happy birthday sentiment, also die cut from black glitter cardstock. So let me show you this again. This comes as an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and when I move that, you can see that beautiful glitter. It has a really nice tactile texture to it. You can use it as the whole sheet or cut it into portions. It also die cuts really, really well, and I love how this cardstock doesn't shed glitter pieces when you cut it or when you die cut it. So that's a big win for me. Now I used sticky specks to glue the sentiment down, and sticky specks come in sheets like this. These are invaluable when you're working with intricate elements like these die cuts. And all you need to do is just press your die onto the sticky portion and lift up, and you can adhere it onto your surface. So let's take a look. I've got my die cut there from that glitter cardstock. Here's my cardstock to put this onto. Now I trim down my sticky specks sheets, so I always have like a little portion or a little strip on hand. You've got 2 pieces. On the yellow side are these micro dots of adhesive, and then this is the liner. And so what I'll do is just pull back the liner and then take my die cut, my sentiment, whatever it is, just gently tap that on there, smooth this down, and then pull it off, and I can place this down, and there we go. So there's no glue sort of seeping out from underneath. You don't have to fiddle around with a glue stick or any other element. It just goes together so nicely. Now, when I'm done with that, I hang on to this piece and I use this until it's bald. So you can use it and use it and use it and use it. It's a really great value. So then I've got my best day ever cut out, popped up on some foam tape. Now this sentiment is from that sheet with all of the different words and sentiments on it. I was using it throughout today's webisode because there's truly a message for just about every theme on there. So that's popped up on some foam tape. And then for my card inside, I have some of this really sweet check paper, plus a cutout, which is matted onto gold cardstock, and another gift package die cut, plus a gold die cut bow. And the gold is repeated also in the balloon. And then to finish it off, I have the celebrations word cut out from the all over words sheet. So it's a super fun design to make, and one I think would go well for card recipients of any age. Now for a completely different look. We've gone from a bright and bold birthday card to a soft and sweet celebrations card. And this is one that I've created using the circular step card die, which will give us this fun card foundation. So let's take a look at the die that I'm using. It is one of my all-time favorites. Here's the die shape as it comes, and you can see you've got your cut lines going around here as well as your score lines too. When I flip this over, you can see you've got a diagram indicating your mountain folds and V for valley folds, some instructions, and then a project idea here. And then this is where I store the die, so I'm able to keep everything nice and organized and all together. So when you die cut your shape from your cardstock or your patterned paper, you'll have a piece that looks like this. And then you'll just simply follow the diagram and fold up your mountain folds and your valley folds. And then you've got your card base ready to decorate. So one thing I want to point out about my card project is that I've actually got two papers here. So I've got this cream cardstock, and then I have this really sweet check pattern paper. And this check design covers this bottom area as well as this center piece here too. And this is a really easy technique to do. So what I've done is die cut my main piece, and then I've die cut just a portion of the bottom area from a second piece of cardstock. So what you'll need to do is grab your scissors and trim these two side areas, and then decide if you want to have this go even with the top fold, or if you're okay with having a little flap go over the back. That's also possible. I recommend using a glue stick to glue the two together. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room on there. So you'll place that down, and then when you have it all folded up together, you will have a piece that looks like this. So with the two different designs. Now again, you could trim this even with the top, or you might be okay to have a little fold over piece there. And that's what I did for my card project. So I've got that really sweet check design. I just absolutely love that, and I think it looks so nice next to that cream. On the other side, I do have a little bit of it folding over, which is also fine. And then my focal is the die cut frame, which of course matches perfectly. And I've got it backed with this butterfly cardstock. So it's this design. I just think this all comes together so beautifully with those patterned papers and that cardstock. Just looks really nice. Then I've added the butterfly die cut element here, plus these fun lace flowers. Now these come in a pack of 15 flower embellishments like this, and I'll move the card aside, and you can see that you've got a variety of different sizes. These are just beautiful. I've used mine as is because I like them as the white flowers, but you can also alter them with ink pads and also with alcohol markers. So there's a lot of fun stuff that you can do with these besides just using them as they come, which is beautiful too. I've got a 1/8 inch bow tied here just to accent that, and that's a slightly off-white color, so it really coordinates nicely with the other shades in the card. Now at the bottom I have a Celebrate die cut, and then I have this sweet little snail. And she's from the Gnomes Dazzle sheet, and I've used some Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers to color her in. So let's have a look at the markers, and I'll give a quick demo on using them to color in a dazzle. Now many of you are familiar with the Tri-Blend markers from Spectrum Noir, friends at Crafter's Companion. What's nice about these is that you've got 3 shades of one color in one pen. So you can see here, this is the dark red blend. I'll roll this around, and you can see on this end you've got your dark color, here's your middle, and then here's the light. So you'll have 3 options for one color. There we go. And what's really nice about these, not only do they make it easy to store and keep a lot of different colors, but they're also a lot of fun to blend together. And the 3 colors that I'm working with today are this dark red, you can roll that around so you can see. I'm also using the coral blend, and I'm using the pale pink blend. And so for my snail, I went with the dark colors, the dark shades of each of those colors. So I'm just using the tip on this side, but as you can see, lots of other options for blending there too. So I've got another little snail here that I put just down onto some plain white cardstock. Now you don't need super fancy cardstock for this unless you're doing a lot of all over coloring. So go with something that is sturdy and works nicely for markers, but it doesn't need to be watercolor cardstock or anything fancy like that. I'm going to start with the pale pink, And again, working with that darkest shade. And I'm just going to color in the snail shell. And then I'll come in with the dark of the coral and kind of go over that and this little sweet little face in there. It's got a nice sturdy tip, so I'm able to get around some of those smaller areas. And now with the dark of the dark red, and I'm just going around the edge of the shell there, and then I'm going to go back to the coral blend and use this to sort of fill in. It's going to give me a little bit of a shade there. And then I'll come back with the pale and color in our little snail. So you can see with these colors, even just those three, I'm able to get some nice shading and variety in here. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a colorist, as many marker enthusiasts call themselves, but you can have some really nice fun effects just with simple one pass coloring on there. So that's what I've done here for our little snail. And then I used my scissors to trim around the outside edge, and I've popped her up with a little bit of foam tape for some dimension. Then on the inside of my card, I've got some more of that butterfly pattern paper, plus a strip of the check paper, and I've got the cutout here. Now these are matted onto that gold cardstock, so a little flash of metallic gold on there. And then I have a little black heart down here that comes from the Gnome's Dazzle sheet. And I think it's a nice accent to the message on the inside of the card and the Celebrate sentiment. Here's more with our fun Gnome's Dazzle set, this time using the sweet little gnome as the card focal. So let's have a look at how to put this really easy card together, and then I'll talk a bit more about the coloring here. So this fun geometric pattern paper is my background, and you'll notice there's a really dramatic red portion going through the center here. Well, you can turn this paper and get some very different looks, just depending on how you have this angled and also which portion of the paper you use if you're not using the full size sheet. So this is a lot of fun to play with as you're creating your background. Then I've got a spotlight of sorts going on right here in the center, and I'm using white cardstock and the 12 oval and scalloped cutting dies. This is one of my go-to die sets, as you can see. It's looking a little bit weathered, but this is just a great way to create a focal area for a large focal element like this gnome. And this is going right in the middle. I've got both of these elements die cut from white, but I'm separating them a bit with a layer of foam tape underneath here and then underneath this bottom scalloped layer. So again, getting some really nice dimension on here. And as for our gnome, all I've done is place the Dazzle onto standard white cardstock, nothing too thick because I trimmed around the outside edge and I wanted to make sure it would be easy to cut. Now, I don't have this exact gnome, but I do have one that looks quite similar here. So I thought we could do some coloring with this guy, and we'll use some similar shades in here. But before that, I'll talk about the colors that I'm using. So for the hat and the face and the shoes, I've got a combination here with the pale pink, I've got the dark red, and then I've got the coral blend. So I'm using those. Then I'm also using some of the blues and greens here. I've got, let's turn this around here. I've got the green turquoise, I've got jade green, and I've got the dull green blend. And that's what I'm using for the flowers, for the leaves on here, and then for his little suit, I guess it is. So those are all the colors that I'm working with, and you can get a variety of shades and colors from that, as we know. So let me move aside this guy and we'll just start coloring in. I'm going to start with the face, and I'm going to use the light coral for this, the light side of the coral. And for our original gnome, I didn't color in the entire piece. I just went around the outside edge of his face and his hands. And this fine tip allows me to do this. So immediately he's got some color in his cheeks. And then going to his hat, I'm going to go to the dark red pen and I'm going to use the light tip and just start going around the outside edge. I like going around the edge not only because the dazzle being a raised edge will kind of hold that color in, but also because it gives me a nice place to start. You can do all of your coloring with just outlining if you wanted to. So I'll do the light, got the light, and then I'm going to go to the dark tip. And go around that again. That's going to give me a little bit of a different look there. Then I'll come in with the pale pink, and I'm going to use the dark tip of the pale pink and color in the rest of the hat. And that looks a bit funny, but that's fine, because then I can start blending. I'll bring in the coral. Where did my coral go? Got the coral, and I'll use the dark tip of the coral here. And with the coral, I'm bridging between that dark red and the pale pink. So I'm creating some layers here. And then I'm going to go back to my dark red, going to the lightest tip, and I'm going to go over that. So that I'm able to get some shading and some shadowing in here. Then back to the coral, and you can keep going and going with this depending on how dark you want this, how light you want it. The reason that I'm using multiple colors is because it's going to give me a little bit of variety and variation in that. It's kind of soothing to do as well. Okay, and then I've got my hat all set to go. Then I'm going to color in his suit. Now with my original guy here, I was using light green turquoise, or the green turquoise blend and the lightest shade of that. So let's do that again here. I'll start with his pants down here, and I'm just shimmying that color right in there. I'm not worried about shading or anything else. And again, the raised edge of the dazzles is really going to help hold any of that color in so my pen doesn't accidentally swoop off to the side. If it does, it doesn't matter because I was cutting him out. But if you're using the sheet of paper that you're going to perhaps have on the front of your card as is, then you want to be careful with that. Okay, now you can color just one sort of base coat, if you will, but you can also come back and add a little bit more color, even with that same tip. So this is using the light, but let's try the medium, the middle. And maybe just go around the bottom here and add a little bit of depth along the bottom edge. The tip itself is a really nice sturdy tip, which means that it's going to go around these edges really nicely. Okay, come along here. That's going to give me some light and dark in there, which is awfully nice. And then what for his shoes? Let's see. We used a lot of the green for the flowers and the leaves in here. Let's try the dull green for this. And maybe I'll go with the lightest color and scribble in some color for his shoes. Give him a cheerful little pair of boots here. So that's the lighter color, and then maybe come back with the middle of that same color and go around the bottoms. Now you can add as much shading and shadowing as you want to, but I think it's awfully fun just to give a quick base color and then maybe play with some of the highlights in there. But you don't have to be, as I said, a colorist to enjoy these markers. They really do make it quite easy for you to add some nice, deep, rich color to your project without, investing in a whole lot of pens, because of course, one of these is going to give you 3 shades. So it's a nice value. Now, if you're wondering about the pens soaking through the cardstock, let me just show you what this looks like on the back. And remember, I have quite a lot of color on the hat here. I worked on that for quite a while. So that's going to have the most kind of coming through there. But in general, it's not soaking through. And this is just a fairly standard cardstock, so nothing fancy with that. But just something to keep in mind depending on how you're using your finished image. So I've trimmed around the outside and then popped him down with some foam tape. I also added in this little mushroom here. Now the mushroom is colored twice with dark coral, the dark side of the coral pen, and then the stem is coral and the upper part of this mushroom top is pale pink. So I've got, again, a combination of those colors on there. And then to finish off the card front, there is another heart die cut plus a gingham bow, and of course, again, another sentiment down here popped up on some foam tape. So on the card inside, I have a strip of gold cardstock. I've got a strip of that leftover, I guess I'm calling it a kaleidoscope cardstock, plus a tag, and then 2 hearts from the die cut collection. The sunflower is also a dazzle, which I placed onto white cardstock, just the top portion, and I colored it in with coral and light and coral dark. And then the Take It Day by Day message is a cutout from the paper pack as well. Of course, you can also back many dazzles with paper and cardstock to color in the open areas, and that's what we have here with this adorable mushroom. So I used gold metallic cardstock just behind the center circle and then backed the rest of the design with red cardstock from the Luscious Lace cardstock pack. And so to do that, all you need to do is simply place the cardstock or paper of choice behind the dazzle and then use some scissors to trim around the outside edge. It's a quick and easy way to create some fun color and dimension in there. My tag base is from the Tag in a Bag die cutting set, another one of my all-time favorites. Of course, you can use the bag and the tag in combination with each other, but I also think that just the tag on its own is a super useful shape. It really does create a nice tag shape, a nice tag size that's quick and easy to decorate. So that's what I've done here. I've added the green dot pattern paper just right in the center. And then I've cut 2 narrow borders, top and bottom, and those borders come from this sheet. So of course you can use the entire sheet as it is. You can also cut this into portions and use several borders together, or just one single one, which is this one right here, which I've used at the top and then also down here at the bottom too. Then in the center, I have an oval shape. This comes from the 8 labels for your greetings die set. You can see you've got a variety of different shapes in here. They can be used nested together or they can be used individually. And I've used this one here twice. So I've die cut it from the cream cardstock and then also from the white cardstock. And then I've just simply nested the 2 together, slightly offset to create a shadow effect there. So this is a great way to use these together and get additional dimension without creating an entirely new mat to go around there. So they can be offset to create a shadow shape, and that's what I have here. Then I've got some more of these heart dazzles going around the mushroom. I've got another one of those sentiments, a butterfly cut out, and then I've got a gingham bow here up at the top. Now this bow isn't going through the hole in the tag, although you could certainly have it do so if you wanted it to hang onto a gift or package. And the gingham ribbons that I'm using come in a pack like this. Mine is well used and well loved. Sometimes I tie the bows and then I decide not to use them, so I just pop them back into that bag and I'll put them to use at some point. So this has just been glued right here up at the top. Quick and easy to do. And then our final card project gives another look entirely. with these florals as the background and as the focal. And this is really what I love about today's collection, is that you're able to get truly such a variety of looks and such a variety of designs from that paper pack and the embossed die cuts. So here I've simply covered the front of my card with this beautiful floral design. I just think this is so gorgeous. This is the other side, that really fun dot that I used for the tag. And just take a look at how beautifully those go together. So I've trimmed that down top and bottom to go onto the front of my card. And then I've die cut a cream label shape from the 8 labels set and added the 2 die cut images on top. So the image with the 3 flowers, this one here, is glued straight down, and then this larger floral cluster is popped up with some foam tape. I added a few Dazzle stickers in here as well, and then the butterfly die cut and a white bow tied in the 1/8 inch ribbon. This is another ribbon set that I use a lot and used on a previous card here. As you can see, my supply is dwindling here as well, but these are fantastic for creating a little bit of texture without adding a whole lot of bulk to your design. So the misuse sentiment is a script dazzle, also some of my favorites. I get to use all of my favorites today. And this is what I've got left from one of my gold sheets. They do come with other colors and finishes. This one you can see a little bit better. I love this script, and I love that you're also getting some little accent pieces like those hearts and then that swirly heart in there as well. And it fits perfectly on that label die cut from the 8 label set. So this is popped up on foam tape. This is popped up on foam tape, again, for some depth and dimension. And then for the inside of my card, I've covered the inside with this green from the cardstock set. I've also got the love, and I've got this interacting with one of the dazzles, so it says sending love, and then a butterfly die cut is the final touch for our card. And this is the last project of the day today. I want to say a big thank you to our friends at Paper Rose for today's really fun collection, which was great to work with. I really enjoyed it. And a special thanks to you for joining me today, as well as for making this our 100th Saturday with Sara episode. I am personally so very glad that you're here, as is everyone at Paper Wishes, and we're happy you're a part of our Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes Webisodes page, and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.